Now, now join me on the line is Bryce Mills, who on October the 30th will be taking on James Bernadin in the main event of the first boxing event at the Del Lago Casino Resort in Waterloo, New York. Bryce, what's happening?
What's going on? Appreciate you having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. As we tape this, for a couple weeks out. How you feeling? About this big fight in front of the home folks on October 30th.
I'm feeling great. This training camp has been going excellent. I've been feeling honestly better than ever. And I'm excited to show it all off October 30th against a tough opponent like James Bernadin.
But you fought close to home. You fought at the Turning Stone Casino. This time you're the main event. Very close to home. How excited are you? You're a fighter who's picked up a lot of momentum, especially over the last handful of fights as you've upped the competition. How do you feel about headlining it in front of a lot of family, a lot of friends?
Oh, I feel it's a dream come true. And I say that because it's something that I've always envisioned uh, as a child. As a young child, when you turn pro, you envision, your family and friends coming out to watch you, being the main event, being the main attraction, being the fight that everybody comes to see. And now to finally be in that position to be the main event is truly a dream come true. It's just showing that, my hard work's paying off, and we're continuing to up the stage, and every fight gets bigger and bigger, and this one just is the next step up.
You've kind of been, and I mean, this ain't disrespect, kind of like an under the radar prospect, so to speak. And now you're starting to really pile up the wins. I called your fight against Alex Martin, very good opponent who's upset a lot of guys. Aaron Aponte was a big amateur down in Florida. You got him out there in the first round. I mean, the momentum now. Are you really now? When did you think this is possible to not only become, a guy who, is on the fringe of being a contender, and like you said, being a big draw around the central New York area?
I think I knew it was possible before it seemed possible to everybody else. I think initially when I turned pro, personally, I thought I was better than I actually was. On the other hand, the journey has taken a very, very long time. I had to come up a different type of way. I didn't have a massive amateur career, so I wasn't signed out of the gates. So I had to kind of take some fights and, build my record in a different type of way as a pro than a lot of these guys do. But now I'm finally here, and I believed it since I turned pro. I knew that I wasn't ready at the time, but I knew that one day I would get there. And now I'm finally there, and I'm ready for all those big fights. I'm ready to continue to show what I have, and every single fight gets bigger and better from here on out.
You're only 24 years old. I mean, I mean, you're still very young age wise in this game. Speaking
Yeah.
about, people who have been around the bush. You're one of the last, one of the few guys that the Hall of Fame promoter, matchmaker extraordinaire Russell Peltz has taken under his wing. And obviously he's a guy who's led many fighters to world championships and opportunities. How does it feel that that Russell is involved in your career?
Russell has been a blessing to my career. Ever since Russell, hopped aboard and has become part of my team, uh, it seemed like my career has skyrocketed. I actually met Russell at coming off of my first loss of my career. I believe it was my seventh or eighth fight in my career against Dion Butt in his hometown, Philadelphia. I came in, as the opponent coming into his hometown, and I believe at the time he was, I want to say 10-1 or 9-1, whatever it was. But I was going there as the opponent, as the guy that was, supposed to lose. And I came in and I had another thing in mind and ended up winning that fight. And Russell was in the crowd, and afterwards he came up to me and wanted to work together. And of course, what am I going to say? It's Russell Peltz. It's a legend in the game of boxing. And ever since, my career has seemed to take off. Russell has gotten me these bigger opportunities with every single fight. And, I've gotten the job done, and it's worked out great. It's a match made in heaven.
James Bernadin, the opponent on October the 30th. What's he bring to the table, in your opinion?
I think he brings a lot to the table. I think James Bernadin is a very tough fighter. I think he always comes to put on a show and put in and to fight, which I love. I'm a offensive fighter. I like to throw down. I like to put on fan friendly fights, just like James Bernadine does. So I think the two of us together we're really going to make fireworks, and it's going to be a fight that everybody is going to want to see. There's no doubt about that. And 10 rounds of work just gets me very, very excited because I personally do not believe James Bernadine is going to last all 10 rounds sitting in the pocket with me and fighting my fight. But it's going to be a fun
Yeah,
one.
yeah. And what's it like? I know. Anytime a new casino opens anywhere, promoters and fighters are saying maybe you're going to be opening the boxing pro Lago. I know you fought a couple times at some neighboring casinos and so forth. You kind of would be maybe you become the face of maybe that property in terms of because I know first of all, I mean I've been in pretty much all your fights when you fought in Philly and you fought in Bethlehem. You bring a lot of fans there, right? And I can only imagine what the type of atmosphere you're going to bring to a place so close to home.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. Whoever Del Lago is the place that's gonna have me, and Del Lago's gonna, put me on as a main event at their casino. I would love nothing more than to continue to run shows at the Lago Casino and continue to fight in their main event. Uh, I'm just looking for the biggest opportunities I can get at this time, and opportunities that are going to skyrocket my name against bigger and better opponents on the biggest venues I can possibly fight on. And Del Lago Casino, a beautiful casino out in Waterloo, I think is an excellent place to get it started.
Have you, Russell, and I know your father is involved in your career, you guys kind of mapped, I know it's tough to map out 3, 4 fights down the line, but kind of put maybe in pencil, kind of like a little timeline where you want to be. I know James Bernadine, like you say, is a tough customer, and you have to get by him on October 30th. But
Yep.
where do you see yourself maybe as we head into 2026?
As we head into 2026, I see myself looking for those fights against the contenders, against the guys who are in that top 10, in that top 15 in the United States and in the world, against the guys that are, contending for that belt just like I am. I want to make those fights happen, and I want to earn every single right in 2026 so that by the time 2027 comes around, I'm competing for that title shot, or by the time 2027, maybe 2028, but I'm there, and I'm one of the guys people mention when they talk about a junior welterweight title at 140 pounds.
You mentioned, guys top 10, top 15 first, maybe in the United States and then in the world. And I'm not saying you're calling anyone out, but there are
Yeah,
like some guys that maybe you circled. Yeah, maybe this is a guy I would like to fight a couple fights down the road. Or there are a couple guys that maybe you have your eye on. Like I said, it's not a call out, but just some guys that, you know what, maybe a fight against him, will be a great fight. And if I could beat a guy like this, it will help get me to where I got to get to.
I'd love to. There's a lot of guys on my mind when you talk about calling people out 140 pounds to
Yeah.
stack division, and this is nothing against these fighters that I'm about to list because
Yeah, and like I
these
said,
are
it's not a
all.
call, but obviously it's actually a homage to them because these are the type of guys that you're going to have to get past to get to where you need.
100%. I believe me and Emiliano Vargas would put in an amazing fight, an amazing show. I believe winning that fight puts me in contention for a world title against, a top prospect in the world at this time. I believe another guy, Abdullah Mason. I love a fight against another young fighter like that.
He's going to
Uh,
fight for 135-pound title first in
yeah,
November.
yeah, yeah. I think he's gonna come up to
At
140,
some point,
140.
absolutely, he will.
Pretty big.
Absolutely,
He's a pretty big 35er.
absolutely, he will.
But yeah, Vargas, no doubt. I would love that fight. He's an offensive fighter too. I'm an offensive fighter. And again, these are fan friendly fights that the people are going to want to see. I
Yeah.
think, people don't want to see a fight where you have somebody on their back foot running around the ring the entire time, and you have somebody who's trying to press and make the fight happen. They want to see fan pleasing fights, entertaining fights where people are meeting in the center of the ring and they're throwing down. And I
Mhm.
have no doubt that Emiliano Vargas would come to do that. And I know for a fact that I'm going to show up in that ring. I'm going to do that as well. So I think that'd be a fight that's very fun for the people and a fight that puts me in line for a world title.
And you've fought on several top ranked fights up at Turning Stone, so they know your phone number. So it's a fight that
Ah, they do. They
that
do.
so obviously it's a fight. You win this fight, we could see
Yeah.
something like that in 2026. And I know Russell's been doing business with Top Rank
Yeah.
for 50 plus years now. So
Hmm.
like I said, those fights probably could be pretty easy to make. When those opportunities do present itself. Anything you want to say to the
Right.
fans in closing before we see you Thursday night? Little Thursday night fights. I personally, I love fights. Every fight's on a Friday and Saturday. I like fights. I like midweek fights. So,
It's yeah. I'd agree with you. I think it's something to do on a Thursday. Everybody has plans on their weekend. They have plans on a Saturday. They have plans on a Friday. A Thursday night, people don't have much going on. So come on out, support some amazing, amazing fighters at the Lago Casino Thursday night. Not only will it be a stacked pro card, but before the pro card even begins, some of the nation's top amateur prospects will be fighting. And that I can promise you, for people that aren't boxing fans, they may not know, but those are the fights you want to see because those are the future world champions. And these are some guys that are my sparring partners and some guys that are phenomenal, phenomenal fighters, winning national championship after national championship that are fighting on that card. And you do not want to miss that fight. I can guarantee you guys you are not going to want to miss my fight. It's going to be complete fireworks from the time the bell rings. And I'm coming to put on a show. So please be there and support. I know upstate New York will. I have no doubt about it.
and there won't be 3 feet of snow on the ground, probably.
Let's hope. Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah. That usually starts in like November, December, and so
Yeah.
you get to October 30th, you'll get some nice scenic weather up in upstate New York. Like I said, I've been up there many times in the Syracuse area. How far are you from the Waterloo area?
I believe I'm about 35 minutes, 40 minutes out. Not too far at all.
Not at all. It's a very short drive. Where do we
Yep.
find you on social media?
At B Mills on Instagram, BMILLZZZS. Bryce Mills on Facebook, Bryce Mills on TikTok.
There you have it, Bryce. Thank you for a few minutes of time. We look forward to checking out that
Thank
fight
you.
on October the 30th, live at the Del Lago Casino in Waterloo, New York. We wish you best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.